up to? Because he was leaving for Davos, we were getting this information, but it seems that his plane has now made a U-turn. What we are getting to know as Air Force One has now turned back, and it is being cited as a minor electrical issue that has been reported. This confirmation that is now coming in from White House as far as this problem that has now been, seen or reported on board the flight, and it has now returned to Maryland at the landing base. And what is now being said that Trump will be now changing the aircraft, and thereafter he will continue his journey to Switzerland. So, well, Srinjoy, as far as Donald Trump is concerned, because everyone was looking forward exactly what he has to say now, and will it be awkward because other world leaders are already there at Davos, but he seems to be claiming, I don't know what happens there at Davos, but the US would be well represented. But however, he has to first reach Switzerland for that.
Yes, everyone is looking forward to his meeting with Emmanuel Macron. Because the French president, because he has actually been a little dismissive of the French president, saying that he has very little time left as president. Now, Macron, we know, is here till 2027. President Trump, of course, has 3 more years. So, yes, in comparison, the president of France has less time. But that said, this is going to be perhaps the most important meeting he is going to have with his allies, the French, the Germans, the Italians, the British, all part of NATO. And many of them will be there. It will be important to hear what he has to say about Greenland, and whether this argument about national security, about annexing Greenland for national security or world security, cuts much ice with his European allies. All right, remains to be seen what happens. As far as Donald Trump is concerned, some technical issue that was reported with Air Force One, that when made a U-turn, it seems that he will be switching aircrafts and then once again will making his way to Switzerland to attend the Davos WEF. Thank you, Srinjoy, for that. But speaking of the fierce Davos showdown, it was the French President Macron who had made it clear that Europe will not be giving in to bullies or ready to be intimidated. It was this response that came in from US President Donald Trump's threat to impose steep tariffs if Europe did not allow him to take over Greenland. Macron made those comments in a strongly worded address at the World Economic Forum in Switzerland, which followed Donald Trump's threat to put 200% levies on French wines and as punishment for resisting to US attempts to annex Greenland.
But we do prefer respect to bullies, we do prefer science to plotism, and we do prefer rule of law to brutality. We have a place where rule of law and predictability is still the rule of the game. And my guess is that it is largely underpriced by the market. Having a place like Europe, which sometimes is too slow, for sure, and needs to be reformed, for sure, but which is predictable, loyal, and where you know that the rule of the game is just the rule of law, it's a good place. And here in the epicenter of this continent, we do believe that we need more growth, we need more stability in this world. But we do prefer respect to bullies, we do prefer science to plotism, and we do prefer rule of law to brutality. You're welcome in Europe, and you are more than welcome to France.
Now, this blistering attack came moments after Donald Trump shared a screenshot of his private conversation that he had with Macron. Now, the leaked messages reveal that Macron offered to organize a G7 meeting on the sidelines of Davos and also proposing Paris to be the location. Macron further suggested extending invitation to Ukrainians, Danish and Syrian and Russians even to participate in the discussions on the margins of the summit. Now, it is crystal clear that all is not well between the two leaders, because shortly after Macron's clarion call to the European Union, Donald Trump says that he will not be attending this emergency meeting of the G7 nations to discuss war in Ukraine as proposed by the French president, because according to him, Emmanuel Macron will not be at the helm of the power for long.
Thank you, Mr. President. Will you still go to Paris for the G7 emergency meeting as offered by President Macron?
No, I wouldn't do that. No. Because, you know, Emmanuel's not going to be there very long, and you know, there's no longevity there. He's a friend of mine. He's a nice guy. I like Macron, but he's not going to be there very much longer, as you know. And I think, you know, I have meetings with the people that are directly involved, not some of the people you're talking about.
But it all started with President Trump threatening to hit French wines and champagnes with 200% tariffs in an apparent effort to cajole the French president into joining the Board of Peace initiative aiming at resolving global conflicts, where he seems to be reiterating that he has solved 8 wars.
Have you invited President Putin to be a member of the Board of Peace?
Yeah, he's been invited.
Do you have any response to President Macron saying he will not join the Board of Peace?
Oh, did he say that? Well, nobody wants him because he's going to be out of office. What I'll do is, if they feel like Costo, I'll put a 200% tariff on his wines and champagnes, and he'll join.
Well, Trump's renewed claims over Greenland sparked a blistering response from the Danish member of the European Parliament, who delivered a blunt rebuke to Donald Trump, well, in a way that he said would be in a language that Donald Trump will understand.
Let me put this in words you might understand. Mr. President, det var næsten sådan ordene lød, da jeg for et år siden stod på den selv samme talerstol og sagde meget klart, at hvis Trump...
I'm sorry, colleague, this is against our rules. As much as you might feel, or the room might feel in this, we have clear rules about cuss words, language that is inappropriate in this room. I'm sorry to interrupt you, but it is unacceptable, even if you might have strong political feelings about this.
Well, that seems to be the sentiment in different ways that is now echoing from different leaders coming in from the European Union. With that, we head into a short break. Davos updates will continue here on the broadcast.